Grave Reviews, this is Chris.
Have you tracked the children?
There's no children here. It's not safe for them.
This is Alan, and Chris is right. Grave Reviews is intended for mature audiences. Your discretion is advised. Grave Reviews presents Thursday Night Frights.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grave Reviews. My name is Alan. My co-host with me tonight is Mr. Chris. Chris, how are you tonight, sir?
Good evening, Alan. I'm doing all right. We're doing all right.
Excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. So something that I didn't tell you before we went on, we had a small glitch with our StreamYard, and I had to actually go in and recreate the room and resend the invite out. So hopefully when people are getting their invites tonight, because I did cancel the first one, they're getting it to the right room.
Gotcha.
If not, then well, we'll be just which is not something I like to do, but you know what, whatever. Anywho, we are connected, we are live. How was your week? Did you guys do anything fun this week?
Well, between work and then had a night out with the guys, had a night of just doing nothing. Took the youngest to see 28 Years Later.
Nice.
How was that? Definitely worth seeing. It's a two-parter for anybody that is thinking about going. You will be left with some sort of, well, now what at the end. But I'm excited to see where we go with it. From what I understand, Cillian Murphy is in the second one, so it'd be cool to see him on the screen again with what kind of gave him his breakout role in acting was the first one. So. But yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. It was basically my Father's Day present from my youngest, as well as I got a little Jurassic Park dinosaur. He watched the movie with us.
Nice.
So, yeah. And, but that was the highlight. And then it went back to work, and it's been like, Satan's butthole here, with heat wave.
Yes.
Whew.
Same.
Long week.
So, my sons and I decided that we were going to do Father's Day celebration a week late, and we went and played golf together, which is something that we enjoy doing.
Nice.
If you call what I do playing golf,
It's always playing golf.
I play at it. My son Stefan plays at it better than I do. My son Cody plays golf. That's just one of those things. Anyway, but we pushed it a week away from Father's Day because they're both fathers themselves and they have their celebrations, and also the weather was supposed to be crappy here that day. Well, it was 80 degrees at 8:30 a.m. when we teed off, and it kept getting hotter. So yeah, my brains felt a little smoked then. But then Tuesday morning when I went to work, I walked in the door at, I leave my house at a little bit before 6. I get to work a little bit before 7. My store opens at 7:30. So that first half hour is to, get the store ready and get the bank deposits done, all that good stuff that you'd normally do when you're in business.
Right.
And it was 83 degrees at 7 a.m. and the air conditioning was not working.
Oof.
By 2 o'clock, it was 86 degrees and climbing, and my sweat was sweating.
Yeah, things are sticking to things they're not supposed to stay. It's a nightmare.
It's not good.
It's a horror story.
No, it was not good at all. But they came and we had 3 AC units, and of them they were able to get 1 working. So at least we have a little bit. We initiated Bone I believe last week or the week before.
Yes, he has been here.
He has been.
Welcome back, Bone. Welcome back.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you very, very much.
Absolutely.
If you happen to be watching on one of the other platforms than YouTube tonight, we do indeed invite you to come over and join the Talking Dead, so that we can greet you properly, initiate you, and simply by being here, you are a member. Chris and I are in the process of designing, we're in the talking stage of designing a special shirt specifically for our Talking Dead. So we'll let you know when that comes around and how that comes about.
He's got some good ideas over there.
My brain thinks funny, so that it happens. So What movie are we talking about tonight, Mr. Chris?
Tonight we are talking about 2016's The Autopsy of Jane Doe, a supernatural horror film
Yes.
that takes some twists and turns that I guarantee nobody really saw coming.
No, I will tell you right now that my bingo card did not take the option for where this movie went wasn't even on it. I was thinking ghost story, I was thinking zombie, maybe even vampire type film. Where it went, we'll get there with you. We'll hold hands and skip merrily along that horror trail. But I'm going to tell you right now, it took some twists and turns that I did not expect. And this movie stars some great people.
Definitely.
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox, love the guy.
I can't tell you. I can't. I can honestly say, Brian Cox is one of those actors that I've enjoyed him in every role he's been in, and when he's the asshole of the role, God, he's the asshole, but he does a
Oh
great
yeah.
job of it.
Oh yeah. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge an autopsy. But apparently that's not true.
No, no, especially not when when the person you're trying to do your autopsy on ain't really dead.
Is
Uh,
she dead?
I think she's anything but actually. And
Everything.
speaking of which, Olwen Kelly is
Yes.
our Jane Doe, and all right, so trying not to be the sexist that I can sometimes be at 57. Let's just be honest. I was telling Chris that a long time ago I was listening to another horror podcast that I enjoy, and it was a couple of ladies that run that show. It's called the Nightlight Horror Movie Club, and they were talking about how beautiful this actress is, and how almost none of the effects were CGI when it comes to her, other than her tongue, I think, and which we'll talk about.
You
And
mean lack thereof.
yes, yes, um, and how her facial and I'll let Chris go into some more detail on this, but her facial expressions changed throughout the movie ever so slightly, and I don't know how she did it, but man, everything was shot in frame,
Yeah.
and it was so well done.
It's
Bone said that Bone said that he just watched it a few days ago. Do us a favor, Bone. Let us know in the chat. What did you think about the performance of Olwen Kelly as the Jane Doe? Did you think she
yeah.
did a good job? Did you not? I would love to really hear your opinion on that. Um,
Yeah, André Øvredal was like dead set it had to be a real person. And it sets it up to be, you know, almost a little art cinema, a little sexploitation kind of film, but what it does is allows for the practical effects to take place with
mhm,
camera tricks
yep,
and angles,
yep,
and it makes it so much more realistic. And give her like you're giving her credit for it. The fact that she's controlled breathing and everything else that I read that she was able to do really sets it up to it. It's personal, like it's uncomfortable. It's you're seeing something you shouldn't see, because she's on screen, you know, just as much as our other our actors are.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
she's naked through the whole movie.
Yeah, her
Uh,
acting's a little stiff, as Bones said, just a bit,
yep,
or not stiff, because she didn't have any rigor mortis. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, it added to the practical effects to where you kind of believe what's going on, that they're doing the things they're doing to an actual body.
Yep. I
Yeah,
agree, and again, I think that Emile Hirsch is Austin, the son of our um, coroner, um, and then Emma, his girlfriend. The four main people that you see in this movie. There are of course many other
yeah,
actors that are great, but these four really sell it. But I will tell you what sold this for me on my first viewing, the cold opening that they had in the house, right?
mhm,
When the cops are going through the house, and they show the angle of her as it's pulling up, her being our Jane Doe, in the grave with just the top part of her torso. That was so well shot.
Mm.
I cannot argue. I can't tell anybody if you watch this movie and don't go, I feel a little bit of art house cinema influence,
Hmm.
then you're not watching the right movie. You've picked
Yeah.
something that's
And they
this.
chose these shots. I mean, you're a beautiful woman coming out of her grave and, being transported to the morgue.
Yep.
Where we have the second generation mortician mentoring the third generation, um, as if he's going to take over eventually for it. His girlfriend's there. I love the beginning where, it's like, you know, I want to see dead people. And, you know, her boyfriend, Austin, is like, no, we don't want to do that. Will
And
you go to my work?
the dad steps in, and he's like,
God.
eh, ask
He said,
me,
well, it's because he blames dad. He's like, oh, my dad's too strict. He's like, I don't know.
ask me.
Go for it. Go.
You know,
Oh,
that-
what about the little bell on the toe? The old fashioned, call me a traditionalist kind of guy.
love
Nice little thing at the end because, of course, now from that moment on, you're like, I'm going to hear that bell. I'm listening for that bell.
absolutely, absolutely. And the fact that she reaches down and starts to pull the sheet back because he literally goes, "You don't want to see that." Right, because they had just
No.
described how he just blew his own face off with a shotgun, and
Yeah.
right as she starts to, he tickles the bell and she jumps.
Yeah. Boom.
I was like that, Brian Cox, you asshole. I love
Yeah.
you. For it. That was
Great
all.
humor. Great humor interjected into this. It kind of lightens the mood because you're brought into where they're a team. They're going back and forth doing
Yep.
the autopsy and all the steps into it for the other people that were there. And he's teaching them. Why do you think this? What do you think? And they make it a point. We don't talk about why.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. So that's not in the room. What's in the room is the COD, the cause of death. And
Yep.
that's what we worry about. We let everybody else take it from there. We just let them know how we got to that place. So
And
they're working together back and forth, and he's obviously learning.
yeah, and I love the fact that's what's going on there is that that the father and son have, you can tell they have a wonderful close relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
you also kind of feel like there's a little bit of something else happening as far as the what's going on in their relationship, and we find out that is due to the fact that the mother has passed.
Yeah.
And there's some harshness, if you will, going on there for that reason. But yeah, again, wonderful acting and wonderful setup at this point in time because as the son is getting ready to leave with Emma, they're going to go see a movie. Then that's when the Jane Doe is brought in,
Right.
and I love it because she's like, didn't you tell him that you're leaving? Blah blah blah. But you can tell he really does kind of want to stay.
He does. He wants to help his dad out, and he feels bad knowing that the sheriff needs, because it's brought in like, we need answers tonight. We need, the press is going to hit us in the morning.
Yep.
She's coming from a kill house where everyone was dead in the house, only she's dead too. However, we don't know why. We could tell how everybody else died. That's apparent, but and we can't figure it out because it seemed like all the other people were killed trying to get out of the house, not as a break into the house.
I love the fact that literally they say to her, is it a B, what is it, B and E? Is it a B and
Mm-hmm.
E gone wrong? And she goes,
Right.
oh no, it looks like everyone in the house was trying to get out of the house, which
Right.
I thought that was kind of a neat little, like, I really did like the fact that they played it that way.
Yeah. No, it was interesting. So of course he tells his girlfriend, like, gotta help my dad, like, we're a team. I'll meet you outside. We're gonna go to see the movie. We're gonna knock this out real quick. That way, he's not there all night.
Yeah.
And goes back and right to work. Like he's just back up, and we're gonna figure this out. And we start to do the actual autopsy where we're going to start looking everything, and they find some crazy things like there's no marks on her body whatsoever.
No.
None. They can't figure out what's going on with that. And then, we slowly find out that, wow, her ankles and her wrists are destroyed.
Yeah,
Just
shattered.
they're
Right.
shattered on the inside. There's no bruising. There's nothing showing, but they are obviously just shattered. There's no rigor mortis setting in. She has no cuts and stuff on or abrasions or anything on the body whatsoever. We as the viewer also can tell that she is
Yeah.
just a beautiful woman with gray cloudy eyes. That would mean she had to be dead for a few days, and that's the first like hint of we can't figure out when this happened
And
because
yeah, I'm sorry. Keep going.
yeah, just because these eyes could have taken days, but she doesn't. There's no rigor mortis setting in. Well, I've seen that before. I can say, and you see that Dad Tommy is
Yes.
starting to like try to get his son to focus. Like it might not make sense to you, doesn't mean that it's not true,
Exactly.
and it could be this, it could be that, and then we open her mouth and her tongue's gone, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay,
She better.
it's
She. The son's like that. Her her jaw could have clenched shut, and it cut
like
her teeth
bit it
off.
off,
And the dad's like, no, this is a serrated edge. This is something that's been done intentionally. So
right,
we're starting to kind of get the facts that something is not right here. Because when they're doing the examination of the mouth, the son finds a piece of cloth, or a string from cloth.
right. Mhm.
So he's looking at that and going like, "Where did this come from?" And they're kind of trying to piece these things together, and it becomes even worse. And I love the fact that at this point in the movie, the dad's going, "Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not true." And then
Right.
later in the movie, the son's going, "Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not true."
Right. Right. Yeah, it does flip flop. The whole while you are in the autopsy room with these guys, and the walls are getting closer. They
Yeah.
do a very good job of giving you that claustrophobic
Oh,
effect.
absolutely.
Every time something crazy is found, it feels a little smaller. That room feels just a little bit smaller, and it keeps happening. We've got the radio that's you know, as they start, storms moving in, storms coming in. You can't, you better not go out there. You better, stay put. And then you're not going to leave. You're never going to leave. And that's odd. And then it changes to the song.
Let the sun shine in. I will tell you, I give praise to any horror movie that can take a classic song like this, something that people are familiar with,
Mhm.
uh, and give it that little bit of something that makes it creepy for the movie. This one was very well played out. This, especially when you listen to the words of the song itself. You have to let
And,
the sunshine in, and
mhm.
and the devil basically says that frowners always lose, or no, smilers never lose, and frowners never win.
Mhm.
Because it's talking about the relationship with people and the devil. If you're a sad sack, if you're down all the time, that it's easier for the devil to get in.
Right. And it's nice that they take an old 45 and play it at a slower speed to where
Uh,
it's just enough off to give you that creepy foreboding the entire time that song comes on through the entire movie.
and if I'm
Because,
not mistaken, the people who sang that were somehow related to the director.
oh, I know it was some sort of choir or something. I saw
Something like
the trivia, but yeah, great use of it. And yeah, we open up the corpse as we're doing that. We find out she's still kind of bleedy. The blood kind of runs, and it's explained off. Wow, maybe there was an overload of pressure, and that's what killed her, and it pushes the blood into the
before, blah, blah,
thing. And
blah,
yeah,
blah.
Dad's just great at just throwing out reality at what seems to be an unreal situation, but we just keep going because there's more.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
all of a sudden, at one point in time, the what do you call them? Basically it's a refrigerator. The drawers where
yeah,
the dead,
yep.
the doors on them start swinging open while they're
Hmm.
talking, and you're in the background. It as a
And
viewer,
there's a guy with no face in there and
yeah,
an old lady with all of her face sewn up.
Yeah.
So nothing good is going to come out of those things.
And as the viewer, you're going, no, 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 no,
Mm,
no, no,
no,
no,
there's
no,
no way out of this room. It's tiny. We can't
yeah,
have this.
yeah, nope, nope, this ain't happening. Nope,
You
nope.
guys in the morgue, chill out.
Yeah, I don't know who you think you are, but you're not them. No.
Right. No, no. And it's neat because when they open her chest cavity up, we find her lungs are all scarred and destroyed, and immediately the son's like, "Oh, she's a smoker." No. And
No.
this is where dad's reality is setting in, like, hey, this doesn't make sense because this is somebody who is in a fire
Yeah.
and breathing that. That's like finding a bullet in someone's brain, but no bullet
No,
hole.
no, a bullet hole. I love the fact that when his son said, "Oh, he said she could have smoked 3 packs a day and it
Yeah,
wouldn't have done this."
right.
Do you see any basically usable? Is there anything that you see that would cause her to be able to still breathe? And he's like, "Well, no." And he goes, "Well, then how?
Yep.
How
And
did that happen?" You
I
know?
do like when they said, okay, tell me with all the things that we know what you would expect to see. And it's because there's scar tissue on organs that look like she was stabbed. There was a noxious plant, devil snare, in her stomach, the Jimson weed, which would give you paralytic effects.
Right.
So they're like, okay, so they're piecing together like they bound her at her ankles and her wrists, and they cut out her tongue, and he's naming all of this, and she'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Like this, none of this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
He said she would be twisted and mangled. You know.
right, unrecognizable.
So there. Here's the thing that I think the reason why this worked. They had actual autopsy doctors on
Mm,
set,
on
right?
set to stay.
So when you hear the father, Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch, when you hear them talking to each other and they're going, okay, what would this mean when you they're actually going, okay, these real doctors are going, okay, this is how we go about these things.
Right. And it's believable.
Yeah, and so that's the reason why they're making it so us as viewers, it's drawing us in because we're like, okay, this
It's that
sounds
snap of reality, that the hint of truth behind it, that I would
exact.
expect doctors to be bouncing, or at the very least the morticians to be bouncing ideas off of each other,
Yeah,
because
and because it was a this is how we come up with the scenario, and the guy and the actors were doing it that way. It brought us as viewers in to believe that, hey, this could actually be happening in this way. Very, again,
well
applaud.
done.
Very
Well done.
well, very
Well
very.
done. And so all of these things lead to this bit of uh parchment or cloth that's all wound up inside her stomach. That doesn't make sense because stomach acid would have dissolved it at least a little bit,
Yeah,
if not a ton, because all things are leading to she's from the north because we found peat. And how far north? And we're slowly getting a little further each time.
and in the Jimson weed that they found was also something that
It's a
was from
northern thing. Yeah.
a New Hampshire thing
Right.
in the north, right? So
Yep.
we're all
We're working now our way because now they're trying to figure out where she came from, and we're hinting at the why, because what's in front of them makes no sense. Like Bone said, she seems indestructible on the outside,
yep,
yet on the inside she should be dead 20 times over, easy.
easily,
Um, and
easily.
this is where we listen. When you find cloth, what looks to be writing with a tooth on the inside, don't read from the things.
No, okay.
This is a rule of ours, dude. We covered this
It's
many
a
times.
simple rule here at Grave Reviews. Okay, Grave Reviews. Rule number 1: do not read parchments that are in a language you do not understand. Just don't do it.
And if you're
Oh,
forced to practice a little bit more than Ash, get the nickel part right. So, so yeah. So here we are opening up this what they say is a shroud. So now it's a shroud with some Roman numerals on it and
some
some
sort of
writing.
graph
Which,
and
like, this is some weird ritual stuff. And we kind of go back and forth where all these creepy things are happening. Austin starts seeing what could be the our residents of the drawers possibly walking around out in the hallways.
I'm
Can't
going to
quite
tell
get to
you
them.
right now, that scene where he's walking down to find the cat, unfortunate. But
Yes.
when he's walking down the hallway and you see the concave mirror, and in the concave mirror, which is there so you can see what's coming around the corner, you
Mhm.
see the figure of the dead, whichever one it happens to be, in the
Mhm.
hallway. That was so well shot. I'm sitting there as a horror fan, I'm sitting there going, "Oh yeah, that yeah,
Again, it gives you that the proximity to scary is so close because it's just around the corner, and
huh?"
you know it's just around the corner. You don't just feel it. You can see that it's just around the corner. Again, those walls are just getting closer and closer and
It's
pushing
the
you
point
closer
where I'm
to it.
literally watching it going, "You fuck now."
Oh yeah. Oh, you messed up.
Yeah, like that.
Yep.
It's getting ready to happen, and there's not a whole lot you can do because you're underground.
Yeah, this isn't good. And all the while the storm is raging harder and harder and harder.
And you're
Um,
locked in with that shit.
right. To the point where they're like, you know what? We probably shouldn't be here.
You know, I love
Because
it when Dad's like, I think maybe we should go now.
yeah, I think it's time. And of course, what seems to be happening every step of the way is that something happens and the power's out. So we can't get to the elevator. We can't get out. Now, well, there's a Bilko door we can use to get out of the basement. And we go to the door, and once you know it, we can't push on it. Dad
Sycamore,
can't get it. We push it. The damn sycamore, the old sycamore fell on it. Of
which
course
is
it did.
why you don't have old sycamores. Rule number 32 from Great Reviews. No old sycamores near the house.
Right. The old sycamore fell on the Bilko door. Now you're trapped in what sounds like, the storm of the century out there.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and we've been attacked now. Dad has been attacked by something in the dark. Um,
And that bruise
oh,
that he's getting, which is huge as it darkens up, is taking the shape of the emblem that we saw on the cloth that was in her stomach. How?
right.
Yeah.
And he had realized at this point that, oh yeah, the cat. Oof, yeah, it's one thing seeing uh, people in horror movies. It's another when they do the pets too because
Yeah.
it's unnecessary.
We agree. Although I will say the only time that's different was in Pet Cemetery because we kind of needed to see.
Oh, that's true. He did need to. Yeah,
Yeah,
church was a very important part. But yeah,
but it had to be there.
yeah, because Dad during the autopsy again, I forgot to mention is he was seeing these weird markings like when he had cut her open,
Yeah.
and he realized it's good enough. We should let me check to see what's going on. Like, what are these markings? And he basically skins our patient on the table there, and she is tattooed on the inside.
Yes, this
Uh,
was my
who?
first viewing. I was like, I'm literally going,
Whoa.
what the, who the, but, but,
Yeah.
how?
Oh
Oh, it was
no. Oh, you
freaky.
guys really messed up.
Yeah, I'm like, get out. This is the point where I'm the one going, get
And
out.
and luckily enough, Tommy is like, we need to get out.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna throw her in the furnace and we'll cremate her.
Yeah,
Because this weird stuff happening here. It's obviously there's some witchery stuff. And we can't go do that because now we're locked inside. Again,
yes.
more is about as small as it's gonna get.
Supposed to
Um,
get smaller.
and we have, what we'll do is we'll forget it. We'll do it right here, and we dump the
She's
explosive
on
chemicals
the
onto
metal
her.
table. It's not going to go anywhere. We'll put some chemicals on her. We'll light it up. We'll do it right here. I have to say, this scene when the dad lit the matches and gave it to the son, and he threw the whole matchbook on her, and the flame started, and it shot up to the ceiling.
Mm,
I sat there going, "Whoa!"
mhm.
That special effect was
Look good.
so well, one of the best I've ever seen of a fire effect.
It was good.
Yeah.
And of course, it's like shit. Quick, grab the fire extinguisher. Great, train your kid on how to use the fire extinguisher. Everything's catching all of the evidence. The camera that has
Yep.
been on this entire time is on fire, which maybe some found footage down the lane. But he puts everything out,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, Jane Doe is unfazed by
Yeah.
the she's a witch burner kind of thing.
As Bone stated earlier, her external seems to be impervious because the flames that just shot from her to the roof ceiling and
Mhm.
covered the ceiling and fell in the room and blah blah, did all that stuff, just sucked itself slowly back in,
Right.
and she's laying there in perfect condition, just like she was before. I was so impressed with this.
Yeah.
There were many times in this movie that I literally stopped the film and just sat back and went,
Yeah.
"Wow." You know,
Interesting.
really, I'm sorry that I'll be honest with you, at this point in the movie, I'm kicking myself in the butt going, "Man, why didn't I go see this in the theater? This would have been
Yeah, it would have been
so
interesting.
good."
It was I said, because we're taking this turn where this is some supernatural witchery going on,
Yeah.
and didn't think we were going to go down that route the way we
No,
are.
no.
And so the door unlocks and the power comes back on, and it's get to the elevator. We got to get the hell out of here.
You gotta get out of
And
here.
we run and we get to the elevator, and they're trying to get in the elevator, and something's coming and stopping them. It's one of the people from the morgue, and Dad goes out and attacks it to get it back so they can get in the elevator, not realizing that that was not
Actu
one of our residents.
Well, it was. You saw it.
You
I
saw it.
saw it.
Austin didn't see it.
Brian saw it. It was all of us knew that it was the no face guy, and
Right.
he reaches out, boom, and then when they walk out, it's Emma.
That's poor Emma.
Yeah.
And she dies in Austin's arms, and we just don't know what's going on. And that's where we have to go. We have to go. Of course,
Yes.
you're not going anywhere.
No,
Um,
and I will say this. This was the only scene in the movie I was disappointed in because that type of grief is very hard to show. And
yeah.
while Brian Cox did a great job in that scene, Emile Hirsch, God love him, he did a great job through this whole movie, but that one scene was a little lack. I
Was it
didn't.
more of a no kind of thing? I mean, yeah. Um, I do like where they turn this into where, he kind of does snap out of it and is like, you know what? She has tried to stop us every bit of the way
Yeah,
on finding out what's wrong with her. Like everything that's happened, the radios, the weird sounds, the pull me away to deal with the blood in the cabinet. All of this was like trying to stop them from doing anything to
from,
her. And
from discovering her secret is really what.
right. Because we must be missing something. We found all of this stuff. And I love that, nobody has seen the things that we have seen here.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Brian Cox said, um, first of all, he was dead set against the fact that she may have been in the witch, and Emile Austin. Austin was like,
Yeah,
"Damn,
he was pushing it through
yeah."
the
It's like,
beginning, like
"Yeah,
New England.
yeah. This is a girl from Salem. That's
Hmm.
exactly what this is because the cloth they discovered was Leviticus, and
Yep.
they read the scripture, and the scripture says that if that you're basically that if you give yourself over to the devil, then you're a witch. So
Hmm.
now we know it's a witch, and then the date on it was the same date as the Salem witch trial. So
Right.
so he puts Austin puts two and two together, and he actually comes up with four. Takes him a little bit to get Dad
Well,
Tommy.
when Tommy comes out, and this is the only part of the movie where I'm like, that was some crazy mental gymnastics
Yeah,
to
well,
kind of get to where, but we're led that way. I mean, the guy would be great in an escape room getting the clues, just not the escaping part.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, he puts together that they tortured this girl
Yeah.
as if she was a witch, and in turn, they made her Satan's little helper.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw them a little bone if so
Hmm.
on this because I took it two ways. I said one, either they're causing him to jump a bunch of sharks in order to get there,
Hmm.
or she really was one of the few that was actually a
It
witch
was a witch, right?
and he's just again falling back on his science and saying, "No, it can't be." Right?
Right.
So and it doesn't matter either way because
Yeah,
either
either
way,
way,
he'll
she's
wind
a
up where
witch.
you're at, right?
Murder.
Yeah, build a bridge out of her right now.
Right. Right.
For those of you in the chat who know, you know.
You know.
Anyway,
And I love the fact that like we cut open her head and it's got to be in her brain. It's the only thing we didn't look at,
yeah,
and we open it up and that looks like a healthy brain, not somebody that's got all these other problems. And we take a slice of it and we realize, oh shit, she's
it's
still
alive.
she's still alive. Like her brain is fully alive. She knows and feels everything that's being done right now. Cutting her open, pulling all of her organs out. Oh dear Lord, we messed up
And
because
I
no
love
wonder she hates us.
Yeah, and I love the fact that at this point, they're like, but how could she be alive? All of her organs and all this stuff above, and I think it was Austin who said it, the son. He's like, it's like her body is keeping her
There's a
organs
force.
alive.
Yeah, Tommy says it where he's like, there's a force
Right.
that's driving her, that's keeping her alive. And he puts it together that she suffered all of these things and she's only trying to get other people to like them to suffer the things that she suffered. And
Right.
he's like, you know what? You can take me and I won't fight you. Just let him live.
Yeah, let my son live, right?
And you get a blink once for yes, blink twice for no. The light flicker once. Justice for Jane.
Yeah.
And she starts the process of everything that was done to her being done to Tommy, dear old dad. And he is left in this mangled mess.
Yes. Thank you, Bone. Hashtag justice for Jane. That's going to be
Jane.
the next few days. That's going to be our call sign.
Definitely. And she starts doing all the things, and as she's doing them to him, she's getting better. You can see her when she cracks his joints, the ankles and the wrists, hers seem to kind of go back to place. You can see movement in them.
Yes.
You hear the cutting sounds, and her dissection heals itself over. His eyes cloud. And at this point, Austin is there watching all of it happening, just losing everything he's got left.
Yeah.
And Dad looks at him and asks for the same kind of mercy that he showed the cat.
Yes.
Can you grab the scalpel and finish it off? However, I don't think she was done.
No, she
Because he does this, everything seems to lighten. We have our moment. We could hear the sheriff banging on the door, telling him to open the door. He can't open the door. There's a tree. We moved the tree. Open the door. Can't open the door. Open the door. Open the door. Open up to the sunshine.
Yeah.
Oh no,
his
he's
voice
on his head.
turned into singing. I was just like cold chills.
Yeah. Oh no. And he's on top of the stairwell, and it turns into where dear old dad shows up. And he falls off the stairs. And now that you think about it, everyone that has died in this room has died either by their own hand or one of the other's hands.
Yes.
And Jane healed up. So when the police finally show up, what the hell happened in here indeed? And get that body to go get autopsied, because it obviously didn't get autopsied here.
And I love it when he said, get it out of my precinct, get it out of, take it to the next town,
Right.
So now her curse is moving on.
It's moved on, and he can't figure out what. And then you hear on the radio, I love it, that, put on some sunscreen today. It's our 4th straight day of sunshine.
Yeah.
No mention of the storms that seem to happen, where it gives you like all of this was an hallucination through witchcraft all in their head. And, we're left with her taking off in a van off to the Virginia University, and the radio switches, and our driver doesn't know because he's on Bluetooth with his girlfriend or wife.
Yep.
And the music starts playing. So obviously she has been passed down the line again.
And the last thing you see is her toe go. Pulls the Kill Bill.
Right.
So,
9 more piggies to go.
9 more to go. I'm going to tell you right now, I absolutely had a blast with this. I was actually really excited last week when our Wheel of Terror, Wheel of Doom movie, whatever we decide that we're actually going to call this thing when we actually get around to it, pulled this movie up because I have a story. I'm going to tell a story now.
Tell the story.
So last week, when we did the finished the show and we spun the wheel and it came up to this movie, I was really excited because, as I was starting to say, I really liked it and I wanted to talk about it with you and with our with the Talking Dead. So the next day I'm at work and I'm actually new job. I'm only like my second weekend, so I'm still getting to know everyone and they're getting to know me and one of my associates comes up to me and goes, "Hey, man, I thought of you yesterday." I said, "Well, what's that?" He goes, "This was the day after." He goes, "I thought of you yesterday." He said, "I was flipping through the channels, flipping through my internet, looking for a movie to watch, basically, as we all do." He goes, "And I came across this movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I watched it, and I immediately thought, you know what? I bet Alan would really like this." I just started laughing, and he's like,
It was
"What?"
meant to be.
And I pulled up the video and showed us
Right.
pulling off, and he's like, "No way!"
That's some weird stuff right there.
It was funny. I came home and told my wife. She went, "Well, I guess you picked the right movie, didn't you?"
Yep. Definitely.
I said,
Definitely.
"Oh, we didn't pick it. Fate did." So there you go.
Fate did, and Fate says that probably it would have been fun to see this on the big screen. I saw it slightly after, and immediately I liked it. I liked the premise. It was like we were talking before going on air that it was not on our bingo card. Did not think we were going to be talking about a Salem witch leftover that was stored in peat and dirt and was going to come out and still be alive and cast pain on anybody she seems to be around.
I literally, I told Chris, I said I expected it to be like a ghost story or
Zombies,
zombie, maybe some kind of. But I was leaning towards ghost story. I was not expecting Salem Witch at all. It was not on my bingo card. If you'd have gave me 10 guesses, it wouldn't have even been on the 10.
Because and what made it that much better is the fact that she didn't move until the end. You see a little nostril flicker when the fly comes out of it, but was making it twitch. Other than that, that girl does not move.
No,
for this whole movie.
She did so, and again, the subtle changes in her face were just so small that on your second viewing, you'll catch a couple of them, but not so much. On your first viewing, you're like, nope. Anyway, all right, Chris. So here comes the hard part. On a scale from 1 to 10, where would you personally place this movie?
From 1 to 10, I will definitely give it credit for the artistic side of it because the cinematography really kind of portrays that great foreboding sense of doom with that claustrophobic feel through this entire movie. The practical effects are on point. Having, like you said, we sit here on that border of art and sexploitation because you have a naked woman in front of you the entire time, and it feels wrong, but that plays so well into where they were going. So you get the art points for it. I'm going to say that this is a solid 8 movie for me. I would recommend seeing it. It's great as far as a unique run on a horror movie.
I agree.
So, yeah, I give it a solid 8. Fun movie.
I'm actually going to rate it a little higher than you. I think I'm going to go 8.5 on this one. I'm usually the one that rates stuff lower.
You know what? We forgot the rule. Do I add a half a point?
She's kind of dead, but yeah, you might as well.
You do see a boob like
Yeah.
90% of the movie.
So I guess if we're playing that rule, then I'd have to say it's a 9.
Oh,
Because I was starting at 8.5, and I didn't play the rule either. No, this movie was, in my opinion, was a new take. It was filmed beautifully. It was shot beautifully. The acting in it was other than one scene was like top notch.
yeah,
Um,
very
the
believable.
Yeah, and the fact that they used real doctors and real coroners to help them with the how to they come to conclusions and piece things together. It made it a very non-believable script, right? It made
Hmm.
it believable. So I have to give it a 9.5. I'm thoroughly thrilled with this movie. Now the question is though, is where would it land on our sometimes hysterical and
Ooh.
such tasteless shit list? Because as we both know, ratings don't mean a whole lot when we get over here.
No, because we have a lot of nostalgia, personal favorites,
And not only that,
zombievers.
rewatchability and zombievers. Um,
This is a
uh,
good movie. I would definitely rank it high. I mean, this is one of those um, genres we really don't have much of because it's supernatural, yet there's witchcraft kind of involved. There's a little bit of some genres we don't really have on the list so much because it
so
was not a zombie movie.
so I'm going to stop right here outside of the 20 range, right?
Okay.
Because for me personally, I have to ask myself, did I enjoy this movie as much as I enjoyed Train of Busan?
Mm.
And the answer to that question is going to be no.
No,
Uh,
not for me.
although I think I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this is a better movie than Train to Busan. I
Yeah,
did not enjoy it more than Train to Busan.
right.
Um, I enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Zombievers? Probably not.
Yeah,
But
I would
I
go back down another level. But we're in that point. When we hit Better Watch Out, we're on that like we have a lot of them that could go either way after
exactly.
there.
Exactly. I'm thinking for myself that this is a movie that goes somewhere between between Brightburn and Train to Busan. That's my
Okay.
theory. I would say um, probably right. Actually, you know what?
You could leave it right after Zombievers.
I'm thinking right there, right at 26, right? Just a
I
little
again,
monsters.
Brightburn, Little Monsters, very unique uh
No, no,
writing on it.
right there. Right there. It's actually a better movie than Mom and Dad. So I would be okay with right after Train to Busan. Um,
I'm good with it right there because my nostalgia for They Live would trump this movie.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree.
But very
And
good movie.
again, it may be a better movie than some of these, right? It may be a better movie than even Last Voyage of the Demeter or Mother's Day, but it wasn't as enjoyable. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
All right.
and not only Justice for Sure.
I love it. Oh, I
Uh,
can't. Don't tell her what I told you about our shirts. Just
now I
let's
say no, I know nothing.
okay, good. Um,
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
being
I'm
said,
good. I'm good right there. We can lock it in after Zombievers.
let's lock it in. And
I'm
you know
locked
how
in.
we're gonna lock it in? We're gonna lock it in by choosing our next film.
Ooh,
Ladies
yes,
and gentlemen, we're getting ready to
put it on
spin
the
the wheel.
wheel.
Are you ready? So everyone, let's do this. We'll do it together. Let's go.
I press my luck. No Emmys, no Emmys, no Emmys, big bucks, and stop!
Oh, Night of the Comet. Yeah.
It's meant to be, bro. It's meant to be.
Absolutely. Night of the Comet. That's awesome.
All
We
right.
so we're heading back to the 80s for Night of the
Back to
Comet.
the 80s.
And some of the oh god, what is his name? I can't remember the actor that's in that. He's also in Halloween 3, which I liked, even though most people don't. Matter of fact, we need to put that on the wheel.
Put it on the wheel.
Yeah. He was Killer Clowns. I know he wasn't a Killer Clowns. Anyway, nonetheless, you guys will know him as soon as you see him. Anyway, we'll talk about that next week.
I mean, we got a Star Trek Voyager and Beltran's in there.
So the Wheel of Torture. Sometimes it could be LG.
You never know.
I'm still leaning towards the Wheel of Terror. I love that. No whammy, she said. That's awesome. So next week, it looks like we are going to be doing Night of the Creeps. Night of the Creeps is a free
Night of the Comet. Night of the Comet.
I'm sorry. Night of the Comet is a free watch on
Tubi, Pluto.
Exactly. So you guys can. There's no excuse. Watch the movie this week. You have homework. All right. That being
next
said,
Thursday at 8 p.m.
Absolutely. That being said, Chris, do you have anything you would like to share with the group?
No, this is a great movie. Thank you to the Talking Dead for coming out and joining in.
Yes.
We love hearing from you guys. If you catch this at a later date, please leave us a comment. We want to hear from you too. Just click on that. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, leaves comments. And we also have all kinds of social media out there. If you go to the link that's in the chat right now, bio.link/graverev, you can get little buttons to push, take us to all of our links, all of our socials, email, all of them are there. And any one of them you can message out to us. You want to see a movie that's that we don't have on the list. You have suggestions. You have how you feel about a certain movie. Reach out to us on any of those. And, we can add them into our show. We can add them into our comments and whatnot. We love hearing from you guys. So Night of the Comet. I'm looking forward to 1984 next week. This was an interesting movie. And again, one of those movies I saw too soon, but loved it anyway.
Absolutely.
It has a whole special place in my heart because of it. So where it goes on the shit list might piss somebody off. It might.
Yeah, he might pull his trump card out this
You
week.
never know. I could say, you know what, Alan? This is better than. I'm not even going to say that. That's just rude to Godzilla -1. So I'm not gonna be mean to Godzilla.
It's not.
I'm not gonna say disparaging things about Godzilla just for a joke. Okay, that's just I knew where to draw the line.
Yeah,
but until we see you, what's that?
Because he could step on your house. But
yeah, this is true. Especially now, he's huge. So until we see you next week, stay spooky, friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're watching at a later date, again, please hit the subscribe button, / that like button, and be sure to leave us a comment. Hold the bell so you know when we go live again. That being said, as always, we would love for you to have all of your nightmares be groovy. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a spooktacular week. See you next Thursday.
See ya.